Hey crew, it's Pitt, and I am back with some more philosophy. We are diving back into the works of Friedrich Nietzsche. This is Thus Spake Zarathustra. We are up to part 10, War and Warriors. We will be discussing and reading aloud. Right, reading aloud and discussing. And that's not the format for everybody, that is perfectly understandable. Before we begin, however, if you are unfamiliar with me, any of my unconventional beliefs, or get lost in the weeds at any single point of time and wonder what the hell is this guy talking about, I have resources that are linked in this corner up here and in the box down below, as well as the original text so that you can go back and understand where I am coming from, because it is quite easy to get lost in the weeds when we are dealing with philosophy, particularly when people have unconventional beliefs such as I do. With that being said, we are going to dive into the text. I'm going to try and keep it around an hour. That has been between 4 and 5, so let's dig in and see what's up with War and Warriors. By our best enemies we do not want to be spared, nor by those either whom we love from the very heart. So let me tell you the truth. My brethren in war, I love you from the very heart. I am, and was ever, your counterpart, and I am also your best enemy. So let me tell you the truth. I know the hatred and envy of your hearts. Ye are not great enough to know of the hatred and envy. Then be great enough to not be ashamed of them. And if ye cannot be saints of knowledge, then I pray you be at least its warriors. They are the companions and forerunners of such saintship. I see many soldiers, could I but see many warriors. Uniform, one calleth what they wear, may it not be uniform that what they therewith hide. Ye shall be those who your eyes ever seek for an enemy, for your enemy, and with some of you there is hatred at first sight. Your enemy shall ye seek, your war shall ye wage, and for the sake of your thoughts. And if your thoughts succumb, your uprightness shall triumph thereby. Ye shall love peace as a means to new wars, and the short peace more than the long. You I advise not to work, but to fight. You I advise not to peace, but to victory. Let your work be a fight. Let your peace be a victory. One can only be silent and sit peacefully when one hath arrow and bow. Otherwise one prateth and quarreleth. Let your peace be a victory. Ye say it is the good cause which halloweth even war. I say unto you, it is the good war which halloweth every cause. War and courage have done more great things than charity. Not your sympathy, but your bravery hath hitherto saved the victims. What is good, you ask? To be brave is good. Let the little girl say, to be good is what is pretty, but at the same time touching. They call you heartless, but your heart is true, and I love the bashfulness of your goodwill. You are ashamed of your flow, and others are ashamed of their ebb. You are ugly? Well then, my brethren, take the sublime about you, the mantle of the ugly. And when your soul becometh great, then doth it become haughty, and in your sublimity there is wickedness. I know you. In wickedness the haughty man and the weakling meet, but they misunderstand one another. I know you. Ye shall only have enemies to be hated, but not enemies to be despised. Ye must be proud of your enemies then. The successes of your enemies are also your successes. Resistance, that is the distinction of the slave. Let your distinction be obedience. Let your commanding itself be obeying. To the good warrior soundeth, thou shalt, pleasanter than I will, and all that is dear unto you, ye shall first have it commanded unto you. Let your love to life be love to your highest hope, and let your highest hope be the highest thought of life. Your highest thought, however, ye shall have it commanded unto you by me, and it is this: man is something that is to be surpassed. So live your life of obedience and war. What matter about long life? What warrior wishes to be spared? I spare you not. I love you from my very heart, my brethren in war. Thus spake Zarathustra. So in section 10, I don't remember reading that he was actually a soldier at any point in his life, so I could be wrong, right? I am always open to that, but he is more than likely talking about a different battle, right? The battle of intellects. But there is truth in what he says. There is a difference between a soldier and a warrior, right? A warrior is someone who fights for the good thing. A soldier is someone who fights professionally. There is a distinction there. You can be a soldier and fight for the good thing, but you cannot be a warrior and truly fight for the good thing or for the bad thing. You must be correctly aligned to be a warrior, right? A warrior is someone who stands for the good. It is someone who is fighting for his people, who is someone who is in the defense of their peoples. It is not someone who is bringing the war elsewhere, most times. And so there is a distinction between a soldier and a warrior. You should be a warrior. You might be a soldier. I was a sailor, right? That's kissing cousins of a soldier. And we fought, but not necessarily for the correct things. I am a warrior now, right? I am a warrior for the correct, for the good now. That is what I am fighting for now. That is what I am aligned with now. And so there is a distinction. I am not a soldier, but I am a warrior. Be the warrior. Be the warrior with the high ideals. Be the warrior with intelligence. Be the warrior who is actually fighting for the correct things. Make sure you are standing for the correct things. I'm not here to tell you what they are. This is philosophy. It's up for grabs in a lot of places. Right? Most people generally agree that killing other people is terrible. There are times when it is not. There are times when it is called for. They are few, and they are far between, but they are there. There are people who will harm other people simply for the pleasure of it, and that is your job to take care of. First the law, but if the law doesn't, it is up to you. Morality in many, many things is up for debate. Ensure that you understand where your morals lie. Understand why you hold whatever you do, whether it is what I consider correct or not. Ensure that what you stand for is what you actually stand for. Now, don't go along with the crowd because it is easy to get lost if you are running with the sheep. You must be the dog that is hurting the sheep. You must be the warrior protecting the sheep. If you are this far, and we're only, 7 minutes in, if you're this far in the video, you are seeking that with your life. You are seeking to be the warrior. It is an intentional choice. You must make it if you want it. Right? Not everybody wants it. Some people don't. That's fine. That's your choice. You can choose wrong. I believe choosing ignorance is wrong. Like on a fundamental level. If you're choosing to remain ignorant, you are doing life incorrectly, in my estimation. The new idol. Somewhere there are still peoples and herds, but not with us, my brethren. Here there are states. A state? What is that? Well, open now your ears unto me, for now I will say unto you my word concerning the death of peoples. A state is called the coldest of all cold monsters. Coldly lieth it also. And this lie creepeth from its mouth. I, the state, am the people. It is a lie. Creators were they who created peoples and hung a faith and love over them. Thus they served life. Destroyers are they who lay snares for many and call it the state. They hang a sword and 100 cravings over them. Where there is still a people, there the state is not understood, but hated as the evil eye and as sins against laws and customs. This sign I give unto you. Every people speaketh its language of good and evil. This its neighbor understandeth not. Its language hath it devised for itself in laws and customs. But the state lieth in all languages of good and evil. And whatever it saith, it lieth. And whatever it hath stolen. False is everything in it. With stolen teeth it biteth the biting one. False are even its bowels. Confusion of language of good and evil. This sign I give unto you as the sign of the state. Verily the will to death indicateth this sign. Verily it beckoneth unto the preachers of death. Too many are born, too many are born, for the superfluous ones was the state devised. See just how it enticeth them to it, the many too many, how it swalloweth and cheweth and recheweth them. On earth there is nothing greater than I. It is I who am the regulating finger of God. Thus roareth the monster, and not only the long-eared and short-sighted fall upon their knees. Ha! Even in your ears, ye great souls, it whispereth its gloomy lies. Ah, it findeth out the rich hearts which willingly lavish themselves. Yea, it findeth you out too, ye conquerors of the old God. Weary ye became of the conflict, and now your weariness serveth the new idol. Heroes and honorable ones, it would fain set up around it the new idol. Gladly it basketh in the sunshine of good consciences, the cold monster. Everything will it give to you, if you worship it, the new idol. Thus it purchaseth the luster of your virtue and the glance of your proud eyes. It seeketh to allure by means of you the many too many. Yea, a hellish artifice that hath here been devised, a death horse, jingling with the trappings of divine honors. Yea, a dying for many hath here been devised, which glorifieth itself as life. Verily, a hearty service unto all preachers of death. The state, I call it, where all are poison drinkers, the good and the bad, the state, where all lose themselves, the good and the bad. The state, where the slow suicide of all is called life. Just see these superfluous ones. They steal the works of the inventors and the treasures of the wise. Culture they call their theft, and everything becometh sickness and trouble unto them. Just see these superfluous ones. Sick are they always. They vomit their bile and call it a newspaper. They devour one another and cannot even digest themselves. Just see these superfluous ones. Wealth they acquire and become poorer thereby. Power they seek for, and above all, the lever of power, much money, these impotent ones. See them clamber, these nimble apes. They clamber over one another, and thus scuffle into the mud and the abyss. Towards the throne they all strive. It is their madness, as if happiness sat on the throne. Ofttimes sitteth filth on the throne, and ofttimes also the throne on filth. Madmen they all seem to me, and clambering apes all too eager. Badly smelleth their idol to me, these coal monsters. Badly they all smell to me, these idolaters. My brethren, will ye suffocate in the fumes of their maws and appetites? Better break the windows and jump into the open air. Do not go out of the way for the bad odor. Withdraw from the idolatry of the superfluous. Do not go out of the way of the bad odor. Withdraw from the steam of these human sacrifices. Open still remaineth the earth for great souls. Empty are still many sights for lone ones and twain ones, around which floateth the odor of tranquil seas. Open still remaineth a free life for great souls. Verily, he who possesseth little is so much the less possessed. Blessed be moderate poverty. There, where the state ceaseth, there only commenceth the man who is not superfluous. There commenceth the song of the necessary ones, the single and irreplaceable melody. There, where the state ceaseth, pray look thither, my brethren. Do you not see it, the rainbow and the bridges of the Superman? Thus spake Zarathustra. And this is the first one in which I am going to vehemently disagree. There are a lot of people who believe that anarchy is the way to go. That if we just get rid of the government, that everything is going to be fine. And that is remarkably stupid. Like, stupid on a fundamental level. Like a complete unknowing of any human nature. And apparently Nietzsche suffered from it. Because the state can be a problem, but the state can only be a problem if you allow it to be a problem. The state serves a function. And people don't like to hear that, but it is true. I talk about it all of the time. The state serves the function of protecting you, protecting your liberties. Now, when I speak of the state, it is through my experience of the state. My state has a constitution, right? By state, I mean my whole country, not just my state. We do have a state constitution, but we have a national constitution. I have read it aloud along with all of the amendments. I have gone through the Federalist Papers and why we have the Constitution. And it is for very, very valid reasons. Now, I believe that this particular experiment in freedom is the best one that has ever happened, including Rome, including Greece, including all of the old city states, because here there is less chance for tyranny. That is hard to say in the year of 2024. We are in August, so we're coming up on an election, and we are seeing the effects of an ignorant populace. It is playing out before our eyes. We went from a man who had dementia back in 2020 when he was installed in office to a woman who is completely vacuous running for office. She holds no thoughts in her head whatsoever. She has no clue whatsoever what she is doing, and that is our fault. That is the fault of us, the electorate, because the state is a necessity. It protects you from other people. That is the entire function of the state. Right? It is to protect your pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. It is to prevent the cartels in Mexico from coming across the border and infiltrating our country and doing what they want in an apartment building in the middle of Denver, Colorado. It is supposed to protect us from the encroachment of foreign adversaries who wish to destroy our way of life. It is supposed to protect us from the people who would give too much power to the state. But in order for it to do that, then we, the citizens, have to be informed. We have to be engaged. We have to be vocal. We have to be firmly footed, firmly foundationed in the moral correctness. Now, we talked just now in the last segment about how it's not up to me to impress my morals upon you. But we hold common morals, whoever you are. Unless you are a complete degenerate, you don't believe that I should be able to take your life, or his life, or her life, or anyone else's life. You don't believe that I can just arbitrarily decide that you get to die. In anarchy, I do. In anarchy, I am stronger willed than you are. In anarchy, I am stronger bodied than you are, and therefore I get to win. In a government, in a state, we protect the weak. That is us. That is what we do here when we act correctly. When we are an informed electorate, when we are taking responsibility for the direction of our country, when we are holding our politicians accountable, then we are the shining beacon of freedom and light. But if we allow ourselves to become ignorant and we vote for somebody who has obvious dementia, then we are the problem. It's not the state. The state's not the problem. It is us, the members of the state. It is us who have forsaken our duty to ensure that we stand firmly in our morals. It's not the state. The state will usurp power if you let it. It's your responsibility. But the state is really good for saying, hey, this guy over here, he's gassing millions of people. Let's go and destroy that. We're really good at that, and that's what the state is for, to protect the liberties of people. There are people being marched through a gas chamber. Let's go stop that. We're not going to do that on an individual level. As a matter of fact, if we were to dissolve into 50 independent states, maintaining the full sovereignty of each state, we would be destroyed within a generation. It would be gone. We would have nothing left of freedom. It is only through the state and its direct interference that we have this little section of freedom that we are experimenting in. This is unique in history. Right? We talk about history. We have gone back through things, and even the Roman and Greek republics did not get it this close to freedom. They didn't. It is up to us to ensure that that continues. It is not up to the state. The state is here to help us. The state is here to build roads, and you may not like that, but the fact of the matter is that you won't. People are real big on, well, before 1913 we didn't have an income tax. So we had streets and roads, yeah, but they were dirt. There was no gas. They were riding horses and buggies down them. It was a lot easier. And if you had to take care of this one little section, it was filling a pothole. But if you're buying asphalt and concrete to fill in that pothole, chances are you're not going to do it. You're going to be like, hey, you can wait. Right? Or if you do it, your neighbor's not. The guy on the other side of him's not. Somebody in your neighborhood's not going to do it. And it's going to fall down to you. Now, again, that comes down to a responsibility thing. I believe that it is a privilege to pay taxes, to be able to pay someone else, and them to be able to pay for the road to be fixed. That's a wonderful thing when it's done right. The Department of Education is completely useless in its current form, but it's a great idea to be able to pay for public schooling. That's wonderful. Our problem, again, is not the schools, it is us. It is our responsibility to ensure that the things that we want taught to be taught and the things that we don't, not. It's not up to the school. It's not up to the federal government. That's up to us. We have the power. It's written in our paperwork. It's not the state. Our problem is us. Nietzsche's problem was Nietzsche. It wasn't everybody else. His problem was his own fucking mind. It was him deciding to be depressed. Him deciding, well, I don't agree with all of these people. I can't be happy here. I can't do what I need to do here. It is not. That's him. That ain't them. That's him. Section 12. The flies in the marketplace. Like, he really does look at things through a very negative lens, and it is obvious. Flee, my friend, into thy solitude. I see thee deafened with the noise of the great men, and stung all over with the stings of the little ones. Admirably do forest and rock know how to be silent with thee. Resemble again the tree which thou lovest, the broad-branched one. Silently and attentively it overhangeth the sea. Where solitude endeth, there beginneth the marketplace, and where the marketplace beginneth, there beginneth also the noise of the great actors and the buzzing of the poison flies. In the world, even the best things are worthless without those who can represent them. Those representers, the people call great men. Little do the people understand what is great, that is to say, the creating agency. But they have a taste for all the representers and actors of great things. Around the world, the devisers of new values revolveth the world. Invisibly it revolveth. But around these actors resolve the people and the glory. Such is the course of things. Spirit hath the actor, but little conscious of the spirit. He believeth always in that wherewith he maketh believe most strongly in himself. Tomorrow he hath a new belief, and the day after a still newer. Sharp perceptions hath he, like the people, and changeable humours. To upset, that meaneth with him to prove. To drive mad, that meaneth with him to convince. And blood is counted by him as the best of all arguments. A truth which only glideth into fine ears, he calleth falsehood and trumpery. Verily, he believeth only in gods that make a great noise in the world. Full of clattering buffoons is the marketplace, and the people in their glory in their great men. These are for the masters of the hour. But the hour but the hour presseth them. So they press thee, and also from thee they want yea or nay. Alas, thou wouldst set thy chair between for and against. On account of those absolute and impatient ones, be not jealous, thou lover of truth. Never yet did truth cling to the arm of an absolute one. On account of those abrupt ones, return into thy security. Only in the marketplace is one assailed by yea or nay. Slow is the experience of all deep fountains. Long have they to wait until they know what have fallen into their depths. Away from the marketplace and from fame taketh place all that is great. Away from the marketplace and from fame have ever dwelt the devisers of new values. Flee, my friend, into thy solitude. I see thee stung over by the poisonous flies. Flee thither, where a rough, strong breeze bloweth. Flee into thy solitude. Thou hast lived too closely to the small and the pitiable. Flee from their invisible vengeance. Towards thee they have nothing but vengeance. Raise no longer an arm against them. Innumerable are they, and it is not thy lot to be a fly flap. Innumerable are the small and pitiable ones, and of many a proud structure, raindrops and weeds have been the ruin. Thou art not stone, but already hast thou become hollow by the numerous drops. Thou wilt yet break and burst by the numerous drops. Exhausted I see thee by poisonous flies, bleeding I see thee, and torn at 100 spots, and thy pride will not even upbraid. Blood they would have from thee, and all innocence, blood in their bloodless souls crave blood their bloodless souls crave for, and they sting, therefore, in all innocence. But thou, profound one, thou sufferest too profoundly even from small wounds, and ere thou hadst recovered, the same poisoned worm crawled over thy hand. Too proud art thou to kill these sweet tooths, but take care lest it be thy fate to suffer all their poisonous injustice. They buzz around thee also with their praise. Obtrusiveness is their praise. They want to be close to thy skin and thy blood. They flatter thee as one flattereth a god or devil. They whimper before thee as before a god or devil. What doth it come to? Flatterers are they, whimperers, and nothing more. Often, also, do they show themselves to thee as amiable ones. But that hath ever been the prudence of the cowardly, yea, the cowardly are wise. They think much about thee with their circumscribed souls. Thou art always suspected by them. Whatever is much thought about is at least thought suspicious. They punish thee for all thy virtues. They pardon thee in their inmost hearts only, for thine errors. Because thou art gentle and of upright character, thou sayest, blameless are they for their small existence. But their circumscribed souls think blamable is all great existence. Even when thou art gentle towards them, they still feel themselves despised by thee, and they repay thy beneficence with secret maleficence. Thy silent pride is always counter to their taste. They rejoice if once thou be humble enough to be frivolous. What we recognize in a man we also irritate in him. Therefore, be on your guard against the small ones. In thy presence they feel themselves small, and their baseness gleameth and gloweth against thee in invisible vengeance. Sawest thou not how often they became dumb when thou approachest them, and how of their energy left them like the smoke of an extinguished fire? Yea, my friend, the bad conscience art thou of thy neighbors, for they are unworthy of thee. Therefore they hate thee, and would fain to suck thy blood. Thy neighbors will always be poisonous flies. What is great in thee that itself must make them more poisonous and always more fly-like? Flee, my friend, into thy solitude, and thither, where a rough, strong breeze bloweth. It is not thy lot to be a fly-trap. Thus spoke Zarathustra. And again, we get him completely just misunderstanding the goal of life. There is value in solitude, absolutely. And if you are seeking knowledge, you will be solitude. Like, you will embody solitude. You will be excised. That is true. But it's not to be something that you desire and seek. You are meant to understand life. And you are meant to help dispense that knowledge. Doesn't matter who you are, it is true for everyone. Knowledge is the ultimate goal for the eternity, for a soul. We are here for experience, and therefore every experience is valuable, even the ones that are unenjoyable. They're valuable, you just don't enjoy it while it's happening. Nietzsche had a problem, right? He was choosing depression almost continuously. He was seeing himself as different and seeing that as a bad thing. And I guess I can understand that. But I am different. I am built differently. I am seeking different. I am doing different. I am becoming different. And it is entirely intentional because I see the world and I don't like it. But I'm not going to isolate myself. I mean, I do. I'm in a room, but I'm talking to the internet. I I will eventually have people around me who have the same desires. That is an unstoppable possibility. I am summoning that. I am creating that. But until it gets here, I am perfectly fine being by myself. Those poison flies don't bother me, right? They only bother you if you're still tied into the carnal in a way that I'm really not, right? I love life. I'm fully enjoying all of this. I have been through some of the most horrible things that you can possibly imagine. If I sat down and told you from one end of my life up until 25 years old, you would not believe me. You would say there is no way that this man is telling the truth. This sounds like a movie, and it does. I grew up deeply involved in crime. I was sexually, physically, and emotionally abused as a child. I lived a life of crime. I joined the Navy and got kicked out. I have a whole list of things that are just too much for most people to even understand. There's a reason I sat down and sucked on the shotgun. But I love life. I'm now at the point where I see, even in the bad things, the lessons that I learned. I see, even in the people that I can't stand, the things that I need to learn. Some of those lessons are let it go. It's not your fight. Some of those lessons absolutely are don't let it go. It is your fight. But I'm here for the lessons. I'm here for the experience. And it doesn't matter how many of these poison flies surround me. I am different. I am perfectly fine with being different. I desire different. I see what you cheer. Boo me all you want. I am okay with that. I want different. I want intelligence. I want people around me who are at least seeking wisdom. It doesn't mean that you're wise. It means that you want to be, that you are not put off by intelligence, that you are not put off by learning new things, that you want to increase yourself. I'm not going to surround myself with people who are not doing that, but I'm not here to isolate myself from the other people. It appears that way sometimes, even to me, right? I am in my room. But I am working diligently to changing that situation. And that is the key difference, right? That is the key thing that Nietzsche was missing, right? The whole guy close to enlightenment and not there, he did not get the lesson. He did not understand. And it's sad. Like, it's horribly sad to see this. Like, this was one of our greatest thinkers of all time, and he can't get past this bitter self-loathing hatred bullshit? Like, that's pretty terrible. Chastity. I love the forest. It is bad to live in cities. There are too many of the lustful. Is it not better to fall into the hands of a murderer than into the dreams of a lustful woman? And just look at these men. Their eyes say it. They know nothing better on earth than to lie with a woman. Filth is at the bottom of their souls, and alas, it is their filth hath still spirit in it. Would that ye were perfect, at least as animals, but to animals belongeth innocence. Do I counsel you to slay your instincts? I counsel you to innocence your instincts. Do I counsel you to chastity? Chastity is a virtue with some, but with many almost a vice. Those are continent, to be sure, but doggish lust looketh enviously out of all that they do. Even into the height of their virtue, and into their cold spirit doth this creature follow them with its discord. And how nicely can doggish lust best beg for a piece of spirit when a piece of flesh is denied it? Ye love tragedies and all that breaketh the heart, but I am distrustful of your doggish lust. Ye have too cruel eyes, and ye look wantonly towards the sufferers. Hath not your lust just disguised itself and taken the name of a fellow suffering? And also this parable I give unto you. Not a few who meant to cast out their devil went thereby into the swine themselves. To whom chastity is difficult, it is to be dissuaded, lest it become the road to hell, to filth and lust of soul. Do I speak of filthy things? That is not the worst thing for me to do. Not when the truth is filthy, but when it is shallow, doth the discerning one go unwillingly into its waters. Verily there are chaste ones from their very nature. They are gentler of heart, and laugh better and oftener than you. They laugh also at chastity, and ask, What is chastity? Is chastity not folly? But the folly came unto us, and not we unto it. We offered that guest harbor and heart. Now it dwelleth with us. Let it stay as long as it will. There is a reason why chastity and lust are two of the biggest challenges that we face. We have talked often, and we will talk often, about how life is not meant to be exclusionary or consumptionary, right? You are not meant to consume yourself with lust. It should not be the foremost thought in your mind to be deep in the guts of someone else. But, by the same token, chastity can be a vice. If you are overtaking in chastity and you think you're better than everyone else because you don't get your willy wet, you're wrong. You are meant to procreate. You are meant to be the best you that you can possibly be. And part of that is finding the other half of who you are meant to be. There is someone out there created specifically for you so that you can have a genuine, deep growth relationship. And part of that is sexual relations. You are not meant to be chaste. Almost everyone is that rule, right? There are always an exception to the rule. There is someone out there who is choosing that, but they are choosing that to their detriment. The same way that people are choosing lust to their detriment. And if you can't see that spread and writ large across all of society, I don't know what to tell you. People are out there killing children as birth control. That is a bad thing, right? That is the overtaking of lust. But if you are in a serious committed relationship and you have a child, that's not. If you are excluding yourself from the carnal, you are sinning just as bad as those overindulging in the carnal. You are meant to have sexual relations. You are meant to have worldly possessions. You are meant to be proud of your accomplishments. You are meant to take the time to rest. But you are not meant to only rest. You are not meant to overwork. As overtaking diligence and slothfulness. You are meant to have a single partner, not a group. That is overtaking lust and chastity. There are 7 of each of those, and it is possible to overtake any of them. You are meant to live a life of balance. You are supposed to responsibly consume. You are supposed to responsibly accumulate wealth. But if you have $10 billion, you are almost certainly doing it wrong. And that is talking about people who are trying to do the right thing. If you are sitting on that much wealth, you are probably doing it wrong. It is really that simple. That's not to say that having the money is bad, but there are better things you can do with it than put it in a bank account. There are so many people out there that you personally could help, and I understand that that is exceedingly difficult, right? But that is why so many people, when they make money towards the end of their life, they're trying to give it away. They finally come to the realization that this shit is not coming with me, but maybe some of my actions are. You shouldn't do things simply because of future repercussions. You should do them because they are the correct thing. You should do them because they are the balanced thing. And so, again, right, he mentions in here that overtaking in chastity is a bad thing, and that is true. We don't see that nearly often enough from him, but it applies to all of the vices and all of the virtues. You are meant to be balanced in your life. The temptations are there to overtake. You have to make the decision to not overtake. All right, looks like we got time for at least one more, so we will go into 14, the friend. One is always too many about me, thinketh the anchorite. Always wants one that maketh two in the long run. I and me are always too earnestly in conversation. How could it be endured if there were not a friend? The friend of the anchorite is always the third one. The third one is the cork, which preventeth the conversation of the two sinking into the depth. Ah, there are too many depths for all anchorites, therefore do they long so much for a friend and for his elevation. Our faith in others betrayeth wherein we would fain have faith in ourselves. Our longing for a friend is our betrayer. And often, with our love, we want merely to overleap envy, and often we attack and make ourselves enemies, to conceal that we are vulnerable. Be at least mine enemy. Thus speaketh the true reverence which doth not venture to solicit friendship. If one would have a friend, then must one also be willing to wage war for him. And in order to wage war, one must be capable of being an enemy. One ought still to honor the enemy in one's friend. Canst thou go nigh unto thy friend, and not go over to him? In one's friend one shall have one's best enemy. Thou shalt be closest unto him with thy heart when thou withstandest him. Thou wouldst wear no raiment before thy friend. It is in honor of thy friend that thou showest thyself to him as thou art. But he wisheth thee to the devil on that account. He who maketh no secret of himself shocketh. So much reason have ye to fear nakedness? Ay, if ye were gods, you could then be ashamed of clothing. Thou canst not adorn thyself fine enough for thy friend, for thou shalt be unto him an arrow, and a longing for the Superman. Sawest thou ever thy friend asleep, to know how he looketh? What is usually the countenance of thy friend? It is thine own countenance in a coarse and imperfect mirror. Sawest thou ever thy friend asleep? Wert thou not dismayed at thy friend looking so? Oh, my friend, man is something that hath to be surpassed. In divining and keeping silence shall the friend be a master. Not everything must thou wish to see. Thy dream shall disclose unto thee what thy friend doeth when awake. Let thy pity be a divining. Let to know first if thy friend wanteth pity. Perhaps he loveth in thee the unmoved eye and the look of eternity. Let thy pity for thy friend be hid under a hard shell. Thou shalt bite out a tooth upon it. Thus will it have a delicacy and a sweetness. Art thou pure air and solitude and bread and medicine to thy friend? Many a one cannot loosen his own fetters, but it is nevertheless his friend's emancipator. Art thou a slave? Then thou cannot be a friend. Art thou a tyrant? Then thou canst not have friends. Far too long hath there been a slave and a tyrant concealed in woman. On that account woman is not yet capable of friendship, she knoweth only love. In woman's love there is injustice and blindness to all that she does not love. And even in woman's conscious love there is still always surprise and lightning and night, along with the light. And yet woman is not capable of friendship. Women are still cats and birds, or at best cows. As yet woman is not capable of friendship. But tell me, ye men, who of you are capable of friendship? Oh, your poverty, ye men, and your sordidness of soul! As much as ye give to your friend will I give even to my foe, and will not have become poorer thereby. There is comradeship, may there be friendship. And so ends 14. Do you know why you are going to be alone if you are seeking to be the best that you can be? It is because other people do not want it. People will tell you that they do. They will tell you that they want to know what they do wrong. They will tell you, if you're just honest with me, I will correct things. And that is simply not true. If you tell somebody, hey, I think you're making a mistake in your personal decision, they will not talk to you anymore. They will take your advice and run away and not listen. And then when it happens, they will blame you for telling them that it was going to happen. And that's just wild, but it's true. And when you start correcting yourself and showing, I am going to make the correct decision. I'm going to stand here, right where I'm at, in my morals. I am going to make my stand. Almost everybody will fall off because they don't They don't make that stand. They don't want that stand. They don't want to be impeccable. That doesn't mean I will ever be impeccable by any means. Trust me on this one. I am a deeply flawed man. I am seeking enlightenment. I am trying and endeavoring and all of those things. I have reached a little bit of it, but I am not perfect. I still struggle. I still have things to be corrected about. And one of my benefits of me, who I am, is that I can. I am willing to take correction. Not everybody is. Even if somebody comes to you and says, hey, what do you think about this situation? If you don't tell them what they want to hear, they're not going to listen to you. And my problem is I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. If you come to me and you ask my advice in a situation, I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to you unabashedly in the same way that I do this, right? I have a tendency to step on toes. I'm going to tell you you're fucking stupid. Right? That's just who I am. It's not mean. I was raised roughly. I grew up very roughly. I'm trying to overcome the roughness, but I have a lot of sharp edges. And so I have to be alone because I stand on morals. Right? I stand on, I'm not going to cheat on my wife or even entertain the thought. That cuts out 50% of men off the top. That's a terrible statistic, but it's true. I refuse to steal from people. That cuts out a lot of people. I refuse to lie. That cuts out even more. It is a long, hard, lonely road by yourself. And to have a friend that you can talk to is a wonderful thing, but chances are you're going to be alone on the road. There is a strong undercurrent in this of disdain for women. Now, I don't know his personal relationships. I don't know if he was ever married. I don't know if he ever had children. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure he wound up being a bachelor. And there's probably a reason for his pushback against the church so hard. There's probably a reason why he wanted to be isolated so much. Because he had untoward desires. Now, I hold completely different beliefs than most people on that. I believe that you were born, created, exactly the way you are. And I believe firmly that no man ever wakes up one morning and says, you know what, I want to brush my teeth with a penis. No man ever just randomly wakes up that way. You have to be born with the desire to put a penis in your mouth. You don't just develop the taste for it. That is part of who you are. And sometimes, back then especially, that wasn't a possibility. I don't know that he was gay. Right? I don't know that he was a homosexual. I don't know that he preferred the company of men, however you want to phrase it. But he definitely gives that overtone. Right? The discussion on chastity had that overtone. This has that overtone. Women can't be friends. Right? They only want one thing. How about that? They only want one thing, and it's disgusting. The personal predilections are probably in play here. It's probably got a lot to do with why he was so discontent, why he chose to live in depression so much. He was continuously picking up the worst fucking baggage you can imagine. Right? Like, let me say that I am better than you and then get pissed off when you don't like it. Well, if you're going around telling everybody you're better than them, they're not going to like it. I can guarantee that shit. Humbleness is the way to go, that is for sure. And it is not just an arbitrarily way to go either. It has to become part of you. You have to learn to walk in humility, to understand correction is a thing. Because chances are, if you try to correct your friends, they're going to drop you. And chances are, if your friends try to correct you, you're going to drop them. And so you have to be the starting point that doesn't allow that, right? I'm not going to associate with people who are doing the wrong things. I cut off everybody in my life that sells crack a long time ago. Anybody that sells powder, gone a long time ago. I had to correct that about myself. Those weren't even my friends. I just thought they were. But if I was to go to them and tell them that you are making a bad decision, it's a whole different ballgame, right? Find your friends. Seek them. Hold them close if you find them. They are hard to find. Somebody who will Give correction and take correction are two of the hardest things to find in this world. So if you do stumble across somebody who can take correction, keep them close. And always keep yourself willing to take correction. That doesn't mean that everybody who tries to correct you is correct, right? People try to correct you with misinformation all the time or disinformation all the time. Ensure that you are standing in truth, like facts. And then, if they don't stick around, they weren't meant to stick around, male or female. Don't intentionally choose isolation. That is overtaking as well as continuously having to be surrounded by people is. You should be able to be solitary. You should be able to sit in silence and have a conversation with yourself and to reason and deduce and all of those things. But you should also be able to be in the company of other people. And if everybody around you is always the asshole, you're probably the asshole. And that's where we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Hopefully I brought a little bit of enlightenment and not too much confusion and possibly a little bit of levity to some serious topics. I understand that I hold some unconventional beliefs and that I have a tendency to step on toes when I talk about those beliefs. It is not intentional, but it is not something that I apologize for. I am merely here to relay information that I know. When I talk about things, I will clearly, or at least try to, clearly point out that I am speculating when I am speculating. And if I am talking about I know, then it is through my experience that I am trying to relay to you. I can never give you my experience, right? I can give you the keys so that you can have a similar one, so that you can find the path that I am on, because the path I am on is fucking amazing. I have things happening in my life that are wonderful, that I never even imagined would have been a possibility, or manifesting in my life, and I can't even fully talk about them because they aren't all the way here yet. They are doing that without my intervention because of the path I am on. I am speaking aloud my desires, and even better is coming to me. I am on a path. It may not be the path for everyone, but it is a path. It may not be the tools that you need, but there is someone out there that needs these same tools. And so I am trying to give away tools. Right? This isn't about making money, although that is a goal. Right? I'm not trying to overtake in the worldly possessions, but I want some. I would like to have my own property to build a Garden of Eden on. I want that. I want to build a school to help other people. I want that. It may or may not happen, any of those goals, and that is perfectly fine. That is the path I am on. Find the path that leads to your happiness, to your understanding on why you are here, because you are here for a reason. You are here to accomplish something that no one else can. I don't know what it is, but you might. And if you don't, sit down and figure it out, because it is something. There is something you are here for, and I want you to succeed. I want the absolute best for you. And part of me allowing you to find the path that I am on is pointing out both where this guy is correct and incorrect. Hopefully I brought a little bit of enlightenment and not too much confusion to a series of somewhat complicated topics. If you like what I'm doing here, let me know down below. Give me a like, share, and a sub. Throw me a comment if you agree or disagree. If it remains respectful, it gets to stay up. And if you really like what I'm doing, hit me with that super thanks. To the crew, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate every single minute that you are here with me, and I am praying for you every single day. Until next time, I love you. God loves you. You are perfect, whole, and complete just the way that you are. And this has been Pitt's Tape. Peace.